nuclear balance is no longer stable, it's slipping. A new US Congressional Research Service report warns that Russia is not just maintaining, but aggressively expanding the world's largest nuclear arsenal, with the Pentagon flagging growing capabilities across land, sea, air, and even space. The real shock? The collapse of the New START Treaty in February 2026 has stripped away the last hard guardrail. Moscow claims it will stick to limits, but with no inspections or data sharing, Washington is effectively flying blind. The numbers are staggering. The Federation of American Scientists estimates 1,618 deployed warheads, while US Strategic Command puts the broader figure near 2,600. Add up to 2,000 tactical nukes outside any treaty, and the arsenal becomes dangerously unconstrained. This isn't just about quantity, it's about evolution. According to the Defense Intelligence Agency, Russia is advancing hypersonic weapons, nuclear-powered cruise missiles, and even space-based nuclear systems. Its updated doctrine now allows nuclear use in response to major conventional threats, lowering the bar to a chilling new level. Since the Ukraine war, Vladimir Putin has turned nuclear weapons into a frontline political tool, even deploying them to Belarus. US intelligence says a strike is unlikely, but warns the real danger is an escalatory spiral, where one misstep could drag the world into nuclear confrontation.
Welcome to the News Hour. The U.S. and Iran have exchanged fire in the Strait of Hormuz, with the top Iranian military command accusing the Americans of violating the now month-old ceasefire. The U.S. says the truce remains in effect. Nick Schifrin's reporting out this late-breaking story, and he joins me now. So, Nick, there's a lot we don't yet know, but what are your sources telling you?
The U.S. military now says an Iranian official is confirming to me tonight what is perhaps the most serious exchange of fire since the ceasefire. But U.S. officials tell me, an Iranian official says that he believes this is true also, that this is not designed to end the ceasefire. This is not the restarting of the war. So a U.S. official tells me that earlier 2 U.S. destroyers were transiting through the Strait of Hormuz, and that's when, according to this statement released by the military's Middle East Command, CENTCOM eliminated inbound threats and targeted Iranian military facilities responsible for attacking U.S. forces, including missile and drone launch sites, command and control locations, and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance nodes. Now, that is important. That list at the end there is important because that's a relatively long list of targets that the U.S. targeted in response to this attack. Those areas that the U.S. targeted include Bandar Abbas, where an Iranian official tells me the strikes hit the port, the loading dock, and a garrison, also targeted right across from Bandar Abbas, Gashma, and just across from there, Minab. A U.S. official insists that this is not the restarting of the war, that this is a response to Iranian attacks at those 2 destroyers that were transiting the strait, which, by the way, was not a normal occasion. Those destroyers did not transit that strait during the war. In fact, they only started to transit earlier this week. But tonight, Iran is accusing the U.S. of violating the ceasefire. The command in Iran saying, quote, they will respond powerfully. Iran has used that kind of language before, so clearly a moment of tension. But again, U.S. officials and an Iranian official confirming to me they do not think this is the end of the ceasefire.
As we say, a late-breaking story you're going to continue to report out. Nick Schifrin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Northern Iraq has once again become a frontline in Iran's expanding shadow war. On the night of May 7th, Iranian suicide drones targeted Kurdish opposition camps near Erbil, forcing American fighter jets to scramble emergency interceptions near coalition positions. The targets were Iranian Kurdish opposition groups including KDPI, Komala and PAK, factions Tehran considers hostile separatist organizations operating from Iraqi Kurdistan. But this is no isolated strike. Since February this year, more than 100 documented drone and missile attacks have reportedly targeted these camps and surrounding refugee zones. That changes the picture entirely. For Iraq, the situation exposes a deeper reality. Its northern territories are increasingly becoming battlegrounds for conflicts larger than Iraq itself.
But first, breaking tonight, the U.S. has carried out strikes on a key port in Iran, the Bandar Kargan naval checkpoint, and the city of Bandar Abbas. The U.S. Central Command says those attacks were in self-defense. The strikes come days after Iran fired 15 ballistic and cruise missiles at a port in the United Arab Emirates. A senior U.S. official telling Fox today's action does not constitute a break in the ceasefire. This comes amid Israeli worries that a potential peace deal between the U.S. and Iran, depending how it's structured, could make the Islamic Republic a stronger enemy over time. We have Fox team coverage. Ashley Webster looks at the Israeli angle from Tel Aviv. But we begin with senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich live from the North Lawn. Good evening, Jackie.
Good evening, Brett. A lot here that just came in. Tonight, the U.S. carried out strikes that you mentioned on Iran's Qeshm port and Bandar Abbas. But a senior U.S. official is telling Fox that the war is not restarting. The ceasefire is still in place. And CENTCOM says that U.S. forces intercepted Iranian attacks and carried out self-defense strikes after Iranian forces launched drones, missiles, and small boats at multiple U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyers that were moving through the Strait of Hormuz. They say no U.S. assets were hit, and CENTCOM called Iran's attacks unprovoked. But it comes as Saudi Arabia and Kuwait just reopened their airspace to the U.S. military after briefly closing it, worried that President Trump's plan to escort ships through the strait would put them in danger. So what happens next with that operation, Project Freedom, is still unclear.
It's still unclear if President Trump intends to resume the escort plan after claiming it was paused to give negotiations a chance. Today, Iran's foreign ministry saying this.
We have their proposal under review. As soon as we finalize, our response will be shared with the Pakistani mediator.
Trump expressed optimism Wednesday this round of talks may produce a different result and heaped praise on the naval blockade as effective leverage. But according to the Washington Post, the CIA assesses Iran could survive 3 to 4 more months before real economic hardship sets in.
It wouldn't surprise me if they can figure out a way to keep their economy running for months and months. We've seen Chairman Kim do it in North Korea. We've seen they'll put their own people in absolute poverty and protect themselves at any cost, and they'll kill people if they have to do it.
The White House not confirming the analysis or responding to the claim Iran has 75% of its mobile missile launchers and 70% of its missile stockpile intact. The president gave a different picture yesterday.
Their missiles are mostly decimated. They have probably 18–19%, but not a lot by comparison to what they had.
A White House official tells Fox in part, during Operation Epic Fury, Iran was crushed militarily. Their ballistic missiles are destroyed, their production facilities are dismantled, their navy is sunk, and their proxies are weakened. Now they're being strangled economically. The Iranian regime knows full well their current reality is not sustainable, and President Trump holds all the cards as negotiators work to make a deal.
And we never saw President Trump today, despite initial plans for his meeting with Brazil's president to be open to reporters. President Lula later said he personally requested no media at that meeting, which means that we have not heard from President Trump about the latest state of these Iran talks since yesterday. Brett.
Jackie Heinrich live in the North Lawn.
Right, shifting focus, Russia is reportedly expanding military cooperation with Iran. According to a report by The Economist, Moscow is planning to arm Iran with at least 5,000 advanced fiber optic drones. Now, Russia's military intelligence agency has allegedly drafted a secret contingency plan during the early phases of the Israel-Iran war. The reported 10-page document outlines a proposal to transfer short-range fiber optic drones to Iran. And this also includes longer-range strike systems that use satellite guidance technology. The report claims Russian President Vladimir Putin personally offered to train Iranian operators to use these systems against U.S. forces in the region. The document reportedly includes detailed maps and operational diagrams focused on islands of Iran's southern coast, including Karg Island. Now, unlike conventional drones, fiber optic systems are connected to operators through physical cables rather than radio signals, making them highly resistant to electronic jamming. These drones have become increasingly important in Russia's war in Ukraine, where both sides have engaged in intense electronic warfare. The document also referenced satellite-assisted targeting systems while giving Russia a degree of plausible deniability. The report is likely to raise concerns in Washington over the emergence of a more coordinated security partnership between Russia and Iran.
A major military scare is unfolding over the Gulf of Oman after a second U.S. Air Force F-35 stealth fighter declared a mid-air emergency within just 24 hours. And now, Iran is claiming the American jet was struck during operations near one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints. The aircraft involved was a Lockheed Martin F-35A Lightning II, one of America's most advanced stealth fighter jets. While flying over the Gulf of Oman near the Strait of Hormuz, the jet transmitted squawk code 7700. That is the universal emergency code used by aircraft facing a serious onboard problem or distress situation. Flight tracking data showed the aircraft moving toward UAE airspace before diverting to Al Dhafara Air Base in the United Arab Emirates for an emergency landing. Soon after, the jet's transponder signal disappeared from public radar tracking. Now, importantly, military aircraft often switch off transponders during sensitive operations or after landing safely. But that did not stop speculation from exploding online. Iranian state-linked media quickly claimed the F-35 had either been struck or shot down by Iran's Revolutionary Guard forces. However, no wreckage images, no independent confirmation, and no official evidence has been released so far. This latest incident comes just hours after another reported F-35 emergency over the same region. And it is happening against the backdrop of rapidly escalating tensions between Washington and Tehran. According to reports, a cargo ship was allegedly hit off the coast of Qatar earlier today. At the same time, Iran has warned it could target American interests and enemy ships across the Gulf. The warning followed reports that a U.S. fighter jet had disabled 2 Iranian-flagged tankers in the Gulf of Oman to stop them from reaching Iran. Iran's Revolutionary Guards then issued a direct threat, saying any attack on Iranian commercial vessels would trigger heavy retaliation against American assets in the region. That has now turned the Gulf into a potential flashpoint for a much wider military confrontation. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the most strategically critical waterways in the world, with nearly a fifth of global oil shipments passing through it, which means even a single military incident involving stealth fighters, tankers, or naval assets can send shockwaves across global markets and international security calculations. For now, the U.S. has not officially confirmed whether the emergency was caused by mechanical failure, combat damage, or operational complications. But with 2 F-35 emergencies reported within a single day, and Iran openly making claims of confrontation, questions are rapidly growing over what exactly is happening inside the skies above the Gulf of Oman.